Hey there, survivors. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's episode. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. It really helps me keep these stories coming. And while you're here, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Now let's get started. We're still moving. That's the only thing keeping me from losing it. The freight train groans along the cracked rails, wheels shrieking against heat-warped steel as it cuts through the Sonoran wasteland. No conductor, no timetable, just momentum and rust. I don't know how long we've been riding, maybe 6 hours since we fled the switching yard outside Hermosillo, maybe more. The sun's low now, turning the sand red, same color as the stains on the container doors. It was supposed to be a ride north, that's all. I paid 500 pesos and a bottle of rubbing alcohol for a spot on the flatbed. Now it's a coffin on rails. We're down to 7 people, maybe 8. Not sure if the guy under the tarp is breathing. We've all stopped checking. Most won't talk. The girl next to me, Veronica, clutches her brother's backpack like it's wired with explosives. She hasn't said a word since we left the yard. He never made it on. One of the gritos pulled him back. That's what people call them now, gritos, for the sound they make when they get close. It's not a scream, not really. It's more like metal grating against bone, like something trying to remember how to use its throat. They don't all make that sound though. Some are quiet. Those are worse. The older man near the ladder is named Mateo. He claims to be a mechanic. I don't believe him. He's got calluses, sure, but he watches everyone too closely. I've seen him counting the water bottles in people's bags. He hasn't offered to share his. Wind howls between the cargo containers. Dust clings to every inch of skin, sifting into clothing, teeth, eyes. When I blink, it grinds. The train shakes with every joint in the track, jerking us like we're all tethered to a dying animal. No one sleeps. We just lower our heads and try not to think. An hour ago, we passed a rail bridge. At the far end, 2 corpses swayed from signal poles, strung up by chain, heads blistered from the sun. It's hard to tell if they were infected before or after. Someone left a message on a white bedsheet, spray-painted in black. No room ahead, go back. We didn't. The water rations down to a mouthful each, maybe less. Someone threw an empty jug over the edge earlier and didn't admit it. The plastic caught a gust and flew like a kite until it vanished behind us. The others watched it go like it meant something. We've been ignoring the banging from the 3rd container. That one was sealed at the yard. Nobody knew what was in it when we jumped. We just took the flatbeds and hoped it was supplies. 2 hours ago, something started thumping from inside. Slow at first, now in short, angry bursts. We thought it might fall off. It didn't. Mateo thinks it's a trapped grito. Others say it's worse, a mule car full of dead migrants, left to rot, waking up all at once. I don't want to know. Another shudder. The train slows, just slightly. Brakes? No. Grade. We're climbing. I lean forward and spot the horizon. Up ahead, the tracks thread through jagged stone, the kind of terrain that splits wheels and strands people. We're entering a pass, tight cliffs on both sides. Bad place to stop. Veronica shifts beside me. She finally speaks, barely a whisper. He was holding my hand. I glance at her. Her eyes are fixed on nothing, just the sand and the sky. He was right there, she says. And then, gone, like the air took him. I want to say something, but words feel brittle in my mouth. Instead, I nod. That's all I can give her. From the next car down, someone calls out, a soft, hoarse sound. Alto! Alto el tren! It's Ricardo, the teenager who came aboard with nothing but a bandana and a crowbar. He's crouched by the coupling, staring down the line. There's something on the track, he says. I crawl to the edge, careful not to lose balance. Wind pushes hard up here. Ahead, maybe 200 meters, the rails curve slightly. Just before the bend, a pile of debris blocks the path. Pallets, tires, some twisted metal. Deliberate. A barricade. Someone wants this train to stop, Mateo mutters. Or something. We start to slow, not by much, but enough. The incline works against us. No one's driving, no one's braking. It's just the weight of the train and the friction of rusted metal. We'll hit the barricade in less than 5 minutes. Can we jump it? Ricardo asks. Matteo scoffs. Too fast. Then we clear it. I glance back. The others are silent, waiting. Who's going down? Matteo asks. No one volunteers. I should stay put. That's what smart people do. Let others take the risk. But I find myself gripping the ladder anyway. The descent isn't graceful. The rung groans under my weight. Heat radiates from the metal like it's been baking all day. And it has. When I reach the coupling, I swing down and land hard on the lip of the next car. Behind me, Ricardo follows, his crowbar clanking on the steel. We move forward. One car, then another. Each step timed with the rhythm of the train. Thump, 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 thump. It's like walking across a dying heartbeat. We pass the sealed container. The banging stopped. Too quiet. Ricardo avoids looking at it. I do the same. One more car and we reach the front flatbed. From here, the debris is clearer. Someone spent time arranging it. It's not random. A trap maybe. Or a signal. Either way, if we don't stop soon, we're going to derail. I glance down at the air brake release. I've never operated one. Not sure if pulling it helps or makes things worse. Do it, Ricardo says. I hesitate. Then I pull. The hiss is violent, like a steam vent exploding. The train lurches, not a full stop but enough to feel it grabbing the rails. Sparks fly from under the wheels, and then a figure moves near the barricade. Ricardo freezes. Did you see that? Yes, one figure, then two, then more, 5, maybe 6, all standing on the side of the track. Still, watching, no sound, no grito. I can't tell if they're infected or not. They don't move like the ones we've seen. They're too coordinated, too aware. One of them points at the train. Then they vanish behind the rocks. The barricade's closer now. 50 meters, 30. Ricardo braces. We're slow enough to survive. Maybe. Big maybe. I drop to one knee, gripping the side rail. Impact. The train hits the debris with a scream. Steel howls, metal shears. We're thrown forward, not completely off the track, but the front flatbed lifts, slams down, then skids. The train groans again. Slower. Slower. Then it stops. Silence. We lie still for a long time. Nothing moves. Then footsteps. Not on the ground. On the train. Coming from the back. From the container that stopped banging. We don't speak as the weight of silence settles back over the train. Ricardo stays low beside me. His crowbar clutched tight enough that his knuckles look bloodless under the dust. I feel the same urge to grip something. Anything, solid. But instead, I keep my hands steady on the edge of the flatbed and listen. The desert wind has picked up, dragging heat across the metal. From this position, I can see the first container ahead, blackened and dented, its paint worn thin from sun and time. The barricade we struck lies in pieces now, wood shards scattered across the gravel, tires split open, coils of rusted wire trailing under the wheels. The train didn't derail, but the front flatbed looks warped where it hit, and I know we're not going anywhere unless someone finds a way to get us rolling again. Behind us, the footsteps start again. They're light, too light, deliberate, not the stumbling chaos of the gritos. Those always crash in like a storm. This is slower, cautious, and it's coming from the direction of the sealed container, the one that went quiet. I turn, scanning the length of the train. Nothing at first. Then movement between the gaps. Just a flicker. A shape retreating behind the stacked cargo. Ricardo sees it too. His whisper is hoarse, the kind you don't mean to say out loud. Something's out. We crawl backward toward the container, hugging the inside edge of the train cars. As we approach, I realize I hadn't noticed the smell until now. It's thick and low, like meat left too long in the sun, wet and metallic. I've spent time in morgues, temporary ones set up in evacuation shelters. This smell is close to that. but with something worse underneath. Mold, maybe, or decay soaked in fuel. The container is quiet again. No sound inside or out. The heavy steel doors are still locked from the outside with a bent rod and twisted wire, same as before. The exterior's covered in long scratches, some deep enough to flake paint down to bare metal. Something tried to get out, or something tried to keep something else in. Ricardo moves closer, raising the crowbar. I hold out a hand, not to stop him, but to slow him down. I'm still listening. Sometimes when the gritos are inside something, they wait. They stay still until the exact moment someone opens the door. Then they lunge. But if whatever was inside got out, why no noise? Why no trail of blood? I climb up slowly and scan the surrounding desert. The sun has slipped behind the hills, casting long orange shadows. The cliffs around the track are steep and jagged. We're boxed in, and I don't like that. Will be easy to trap. Veronica appears 2 cars down, her brother's backpack still strapped across her chest. She doesn't call out, just raises a hand and points upward, toward the hills. At first I don't see anything, then a glint. Something reflective, binoculars maybe, then another glint, the same spot, then 2 more, lower this time. I duck instinctively. Whoever's watching has elevation, good line of sight. If they've got guns, they don't need to rush. Ricardo climbs up beside me, breathing through clenched teeth. We need to move. He's right, but the train's dead. No power, no conductor, no chance we get this thing running again without a miracle. I glance at the others. Mateo, still watching from his spot at the ladder. The older woman I never got the name of, cradling a cloth bundle in her lap. The young couple who haven't spoken since we boarded, both wrapped in tarp like they're preparing for burial. The group's fractured. Some of them are too far gone to make decisions. Others are waiting for someone else to decide. I don't want that someone to be me. Veronica climbs over carefully and crouches beside us. Her face is tight, jaw clenched, eyes never resting. She's scanning the ridge the same way I am, and I can see the calculation happening behind her silence. They're up there, she says, her voice low but certain. Watched us slow down, watched us stop. Not gritos, I reply. Too organized. She nods. Alive. That might be worse. Ricardo doesn't argue. He gestures toward the nearest container that still has its ladder attached. We need height, better view. If they move, we move. I help Veronica up first, then follow. The top of the container is blistering with stored heat, but at least we can see clearly. The hills rise in jagged tiers, and along the ridge are definite shapes, too still to be wind, too regular to be nature. There are people up there, at least 3, maybe 5. They haven't fired. That gives me a sliver of hope. Either they don't want us dead, or they're waiting until we're useful. What do they want? Veronica murmurs. Maybe nothing, Ricardo says. Maybe they just want the train. I shake my head. Then they would have taken it by now, or derailed it completely. The barricade didn't stop us. It slowed us. The realization settles slowly. This was never about stopping the train. It was about isolating it, cutting it from momentum, creating stillness. And now that we're still, they can pick us apart. Movement behind us. I whip around in time to see the tarp at the far end of the train flutter. The shape beneath it isn't still anymore. The man who was under the tarp, the one nobody checked, the one we assumed was already gone, is standing now. His hands are loose at his sides, body swaying slightly. His face is slack. Eyes open but unfocused. Ricardo starts down immediately, gripping the ladder, but I stop him. Wait, I say. Look at his feet. The man isn't stepping forward. He's dragging his right leg slightly, in the same way the early stage gritos do, stiff gait, limited coordination. But there's no sound, no cry, no rasp, just the dull thump of feet on metal. The tarp slips from his shoulders. The shirt underneath is stained but intact. No bite marks, no torn skin, no visible infection. But his expression is all wrong. His eyes aren't tracking movement. His mouth opens once, slowly. No sound comes out. Then he jerks forward. Ricardo doesn't wait. He drops and rushes him. I start down behind him, Veronica following. Ricardo swings the crowbar in a tight arc. The man catches the blow with his left arm and doesn't flinch. His shoulder pops at a wrong angle, like the bone isn't locked in place. Then he lunges forward. Not fast, not fluid, just heavy and determined. They crash into the side rail. Ricardo stumbles. The man grabs his jacket. Veronica moves before I can. She brings down her boot on the man's knee. The joint bends inward, sickeningly wrong. The man doesn't fall. He just pivots, lets go of Ricardo, and turns toward her. The whole movement is wrong, like a puppet pulled by strings that don't know where the joints are. I step in and shove with all my weight. The man teeters, his foot slips, and then he's gone, off the side, over the edge, falling backward into the dry wash beside the track. We hear the impact, a dull, heavy crunch, but there's no scream, just the wind. I lean over the edge and watch. The man doesn't move, but from the ridge above something else does. One of the watchers is stepping forward now. Sun glints off what might be metal in his hands. Not a gun, something else. A radio or a flare. None of us speak as we stare up at the ridge, watching the man with the object in his hand. It's small, box-shaped, too compact for a weapon, too bulky for a phone. He holds it above his head like it's meant to be seen. A second later it clicks, audible even from here. Then a high-pitched pulse like a dog whistle cuts through the canyon air. Short, precise, and then silence again. No gunfire follows, no movement from the others. The watchers retreat a step, fading into the rocks as if nothing ever happened. But the signal lingers in our ears. It wasn't for us. Ricardo looks back at the body in the wash below. He wasn't infected, not yet. Veronica keeps her eyes on the ridge. He was listening to something, or obeying it. That's when the container rattles again. Not the one we just stood on, but the one ahead of it. The sealed one with the scratch marks and the bent latch. The one that had gone quiet too soon. Mateo's voice calls from further down the train. Something moved. I saw it, top corner, pushed out. I move fast, crossing the flatbeds with as little noise as possible. Ricardo and Veronica follow, both tense, watching the edges of the terrain. The others remain where they are. They've adopted the silence like a shield. Some are too tired to move. Others too scared to hope there's anything to be done. We stop just short of the sealed container. It leans slightly on its mount, one corner lifted from where the train buckled during the crash. The latch at the bottom, twisted before, is now completely unspooled, not broken, unwrapped, like someone undid it from the inside. I motion for Ricardo to stay back, then circle to the side. The air smells different here. Not just decay, colder somehow, like the sun hasn't touched this corner of the metal. There's a pressure to it, a weight. Veronica's crouched, inspecting the gravel below. She looks up at me. No blood, no prints. That shouldn't be possible, not with what we thought was inside. I press my ear to the metal. Inside, it's dead quiet. Then, barely audible, a scrape, like something brushing past stacked boxes, followed by a slow, deliberate knock. Not frantic, just 1, 2, 3. I step back. This wasn't a random storage car. Someone sealed this for a reason. And whatever's inside isn't just surviving, it's aware. Mateo joins us, his expression tense. We need to get off this train. Where would we go? I ask. There's a maintenance outpost 5 kilometers down the track. Solar panel tower, generator shed. Used to be manned by 2 techs. If the system still works, there'll be water, maybe shelter. I don't ask how he knows. He's been too prepared since the beginning, too clean. That pack of his was never opened once, but I know it's full. People like Mateo don't barter for space. They plan for it, which means he knew this train, maybe even the route, and he hasn't said everything. Even if that place is intact, Veronica says. We can't just walk away. We leave this train, we lose the high ground. Open terrain out there. They'll see us the moment we move. Matteo shrugs. Then you stay and wait. For whatever's in that box. Or for them to come down. The group isn't going to last much longer like this. The tension is ripping between the ones who think we should wait and the ones who want to run. No one's eaten since Hermosillo. Water's nearly out. The temperature's dropping with the sun, and once the cold hits, anyone not covered is going to start losing strength fast. The container makes another sound. Not metal this time, not a knock, a voice. Not words, more like vocalization. A moan warped through exhaustion or thirst or something else entirely. But it's human, or close enough to pass for it. Veronica backs up. That's not a grito, she whispers. No. Gritos make that metallic throat shriek. Their cries are chaotic, broken, full of effort. This was smoother, closer to pain than rage. Ricardo tightens his grip on the crowbar. It's talking. Not to us, I say. Inside the container, something shifts. Then the door starts to open, slowly, almost cautiously. We all take a step back. The latch clatters to the ground. A low creak follows, and the left door swings outward 2 inches. Then it stops. No hands, no face, just darkness inside. Deep enough that even the fading light can't reveal the shape beyond. I move first. I don't want to, but something inside me knows that hesitation here means waiting for it to choose when to emerge. I reach down, grip the edge of the door, and pull it open. The light slips inside. Barely. It illuminates maybe the first few feet of interior space, enough to see that it's empty of crates, but the floor's stained. Not with blood, with something thicker, varnished almost, black with a copper sheen. Then I see the girl. She's crouched in the far corner, arms around her knees, head lowered, wearing a white tank top, dirty and streaked with oil or blood. Her legs are bare, feet cut and blistered. She isn't looking at us, just rocking, ever so slightly, back and forth. There are wires around her wrists, frayed. Someone tied her up here, left her in the dark, and judging by the dry blood under her fingernails, she fought. Ricardo steps forward. Are you okay? She flinches but doesn't respond. Veronica lowers her voice. She's been here for days. She shouldn't be alive, Matteo says flatly. I agree. No food, no water, no light, in a sealed metal oven in the desert. And yet she's breathing. Barely. I take a cautious step forward. She doesn't move. I kneel slowly and stop an arm's length away. Can you hear me? I ask. Her head turns slightly. She has no irises, just milky white in both eyes. Not blind. There's movement, tracking. Then she speaks, voice raw, sandpaper soft. They said it wouldn't hurt. I freeze. She looks directly at me now, not at my face, at something behind my shoulder. Veronica steps closer. What did they do to you? The girl lifts one trembling hand and points to her chest. A faint circular scar there, like an injection site but larger. Not puncture, incision. Project Kalada, she says. Then she closes her eyes and starts humming. It's not tuneless, it's rhythmic, structured, and from the ridge, a single whistle answers her. The others hear it. Matteo curses under his breath. Veronica steps back. Ricardo raises the crowbar again, but I stay where I am. Because now I understand why the train wasn't meant to reach the border. This wasn't just a transport, it was a delivery. And we opened the box. She keeps humming, low and steady, the same 5-note pattern looping like a broken music box. It's not random. There's too much intent in the timing. I can't tell if it's something she was taught or something she can't stop. Either way, the moment that whistle echoed back from the ridge, everything changed. The watchers are no longer silhouettes. One of them steps fully into view now, broad-shouldered, draped in desert canvas, something strapped to his chest, a pouch, a device. From this distance, it's impossible to see details, but there's a certainty in the way he holds his stance. Authority, purpose. We're not just being observed anymore, we're being monitored. Ricardo lowers the crowbar slightly, eyes darting between the girl and the ridge. "This is bait," he mutters. "She's wired." "No," Veronica answers quietly, staring at the girl. "She's a signal." The girl's arms drop to her sides. Her wrists still show the marks, deep bruised lines like she'd been bound with plastic cord. But her face remains neutral, expressionless. That blankness, that stillness. It doesn't feel like shock. It feels controlled, like someone dialed her down to standby mode. Mateo steps closer to the container and crouches near the threshold, careful not to cross inside. "She said Project Kalada," he murmurs. "I've heard that name. Not in the news, not on the radio, but in fragments. Buried net chatter, before everything collapsed. Rumors out of Sinaloa, medical trial sites, people disappearing. Not infected, taken, tested." "You knew?" Veronica turns on him now, her voice rising for the first time. "You've known something this whole time." "I knew the military cleared a corridor south of Hermosillo. I knew trains were being repurposed for moving more than supplies. I didn't know this." "You knew enough." "No one knew this." Mateo stands now, voice harder. "You think anyone in their right mind would board a freight car hauling an asset like her?" I glance back at the girl. Her eyes are closed again, but the rhythm in her breath matches the earlier hum. She's maintaining cadence, keeping time, a metronome for something bigger. Then she speaks again, barely audible. "Gritos are broken. We are clean." The words stop all of us. Ricardo steps back. "What did you say?" Her eyes flick open. "Gritos are wild. We are clean. We are aligned." Veronica stiffens. "We?" Behind us, the wind picks up, only it doesn't feel like wind. There's a vibration underfoot now, faint, irregular. Not from the train, from the ground. Then a sound follows, a rustling, far off, like grass being trampled, or something dry and many-legged moving across rock. I step out of the container, and then I see them. Not the watchers, not the gritos. Something else. They emerge from the rocks in staggered lines, emaciated shapes, skin stretched like paper, eyes dull and clouded, but their gait is even, controlled. Each one moves in sync, footfalls matching like a marching line, and they're heading straight for the train. These aren't shamblers, they're not sprinters either. They're deliberate, like something reset them, like someone taught them how to walk again. Veronica says it first. "Those aren't wild." She's right. The wild ones, the gritos, are chaotic, loud, mindless. These are structured. The humming girl shifts slightly now, rocking again. With every motion of her torso, the approaching line seems to adjust, matching her cadence. She's guiding them, or calling them. "Close the container," Ricardo says suddenly. "We can't trap her in there again." "We might have to." The girl looks at him. Her expression doesn't change, but the hum fades into silence. And now that she's not making sound, the approaching figures hesitate. Some even stop. A ripple of disorganization breaks the line. That's when we know for sure she's not just a signal, she's control. "Why would they do this?" Veronica whispers, more to herself than anyone else. Mateo answers her, voice grim. "You can't bomb every town. You can't burn every village. But if you can train the infected, direct them, you can clear corridors, clean zones, relocate survivors into false camps, then use the gritos to enforce separation. Total behavioral conditioning." "This isn't control," I say. "It's domestication." We're still surrounded by cliffs, still stranded on a train with no power, no plan, and a new breed of infected closing in. I glance at the others. They're watching the ridges, the rocks, the shadows. Not one of them has moved toward the girl. Mateo lowers his voice. "We can't let her reach the outpost." "She's not walking," Veronica says. "She's staying right here." Not if they come get her. We all know what he means. Those watchers didn't signal by accident. This was a retrieval plan. And now that we've opened the container, we've become the last obstruction. The girl stands. It's slow, fragile at first, but she steadies herself. Her legs shake. She clutches the frame of the door for balance, and when she steps out, she doesn't fall. She walks. Ricardo raises the crowbar again. Don't. She's not attacking, I say. She's observing. She stops in the middle of the flatbed, glancing around. Her eyes settle on each of us, Ricardo, Mateo, Veronica, me, and then past us, toward the desert. Her head tilts just slightly. Then she raises one hand, and the infected below start walking again. Same pace, same rhythm. She's the conductor of a symphony we were never supposed to hear. I step toward her. Why are you doing this? She doesn't answer, but her lips twitch, not a smile, not quite. Then she says one more thing. They said we would lead the silence. Behind us, the watchers begin to descend. She stays at the center of the flatbed, hair caught in the wind, her gaze fixed on the descending figures from the ridge. Her arms hang at her sides, still and patient, like she's been waiting for this moment the entire ride. Down below, the infected continue their slow approach, weaving between stones and brush, never rushing, never stumbling, each of them locked to an invisible rhythm only she can hear. The watchers descend methodically, sticking to natural ledges and faded trails, rifles across their backs, not drawn. They don't act like soldiers. They don't act like raiders either. There's discipline in the way they move, but not the kind born from fear. They don't scan the train for threats. They're here for her. Veronica crouches beside me, knuckles white where she grips her brother's backpack. We can't fight all of them. No, I reply, but we don't have to. What do you mean? I nod toward the girl. She's not here to kill us. Mateo exhales sharply. Does that matter? If she's what they're building, this ends with her on the other side of the border, and with every safe zone built on a lie. She's just a kid, Ricardo mutters, but the words are empty. He doesn't believe them. None of us do. She may look 16, but whatever she is now, it's not what she started as. No one survives that long in a sealed container by chance. No one walks barefoot across burning steel with blistered feet and shows no pain. No one hums into the void and commands the dead. One of the watchers steps onto the rails now, close enough to make out his face. A man in his 50s, clean-shaven, tan uniform, half covered by a sand-colored cloak. He carries a shortwave radio in one hand, mouthpiece coiled around his shoulder. He raises the radio slowly and speaks into it. The train's silence swallows the words, but the effect is immediate. The girl stops moving, then she lowers her head and starts walking toward him. No one tries to stop her. Even Mateo stays frozen, his hand hovering near the pistol he hasn't yet drawn. She walks like she's following a dotted line in her mind. As she passes, her eyes flick toward us, but only briefly. There's no threat in her look, no warning, only confirmation. We were never meant to be involved. We were just background, stray witnesses, noise. I take a step forward, instinct pushing words up my throat before I've had time to weigh them. What are you doing with them? The older man pauses. His head turns slowly, like he's not surprised I asked, only surprised I broke the silence. You think the outbreak left you choices? His voice is calm, measured. He doesn't shout. You've seen the wild ones, the screamers, the rotting. You know what chaos looks like, what happens when survival has no direction. I nod once. I've seen it. He gestures toward the girl. This is the alternative. Obedience, control, peace. Ricardo mutters under his breath. Peace? That's what you call this? I call it survival, on schedule, on purpose. Veronica steps up beside me now, her voice sharp. How many did you test before her? He doesn't answer. The girl has reached his side now. She stands quietly, her arms at her sides, face turned toward the desert. The infected stop again, forming a line behind her. 20, maybe 30 of them. None make a sound. We gave them back something they'd lost, he continues. Not a cure, not consciousness, but order. And with order comes possibility. A new kind of civilization, one not ruled by impulse. You mean ruled by you? He shrugs. Someone has to hold the leash. Veronica grips the rail. You're not saving anyone. You're building a wall of silence around what's left of the world. Better silence than chaos, he replies. Then to the girl he adds, It's time. She nods once, and then, like a flipped switch, every infected head lifts in unison. A shared breath of anticipation. Still no sound, but the air shifts, not threatening, just final. They're leaving. In a column 2 bodies wide, the infected begin to turn. Step by step, they move back the way they came, winding through the rocks, trailing behind the girl and the watcher as they disappear into the canyon. No one speaks for a long time. Then Mateo breaks the quiet. What now? I look around. The freight train is still broken, its engine cold, the wreckage of the barricade scattered across the rails. The others are still huddled near the rear, some crying, some staring after the vanished line of infected, like they're watching a ghost fade. No one died here, but it doesn't feel like we survived either. I jump down to the ground. The gravel is uneven underfoot, shifting slightly with each step, but it's good to stand on something that doesn't creak or sway. The air's thinner here, drier than it was even hours ago, and I wonder if it's the desert itself, or just what she left behind in the wake of her passing. The girl, the infected, the watchers, none of it feels gone, just paused. Like this stretch of track is part of something wider now, like we're standing in the gap between movements in a song none of us understand. Ricardo climbs down beside me, rubbing at his shoulder. If the outpost's real, we head there before dark. If it's not, he doesn't finish, doesn't need to. Veronica hops down last, her boots silent against the stone. Her face is tighter than before, eyes pinned to the tracks ahead. We're walking anyway, she says. We've seen what this place is. Nothing good comes waiting on the next train. Mateo slings his pack onto one shoulder. We stick to the service trail along the tracks. 2 hours, maybe less if we don't stop. Behind us, the others begin to stir. A quiet consensus builds, not through words, but by motion. The couple under the tarp finally stand, arms looped tightly around each other. The old woman clutches a dented canteen like it's sacred. We're not a group, just fragments moving in the same direction. We start walking. The path follows the rails at first, then bends along a ridge where stone outcroppings offer glimpses of the empty valley below. Scorched brush, shattered fencing, a skeleton of what may have been a communications tower. As the sun sinks behind the hills, shadows stretch longer. For a moment, the whole desert looks like a map of scars. Ricardo walks ahead with Veronica, talking softly, his voice steady but low. Mateo brings up the rear, always watching, never letting more than a few steps form between him and the rest of us. I stay in the middle, keeping my ears open. Every sound feels sharper now. The shift of pebbles, the rustle of dead brush, even our own footsteps, like the land is listening too. We reach the halfway mark when we find the bones. Not buried, not hidden, just laid out on the rocks near an old maintenance shack. Rib cages cracked open, skulls stacked in a spiral. It isn't the violence of it that unnerves me. It's the precision. No scavengers touched the remains, no insects. Everything's too clean, like even nature's afraid of what passed through here. Mateo barely glances at it. Markers, he says. The Align don't kill for sport, they clean. They leave these like breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs for who? I ask. For each other. We keep moving. The outpost appears just as twilight settles, a low concrete building half dug into the ridge, its roof lined with dead panels, comms dish broken at the base of a rusted pole. No lights, no signs of life, But the door holds. The hinges groan when we force it open, and inside we find what's left of the technician's world. Supply crates, broken screens, a water purifier clinging to life on solar trickle. We seal the door behind us and cover the windows. It's not safety, but it's shelter. That night, we sit in a half circle on the floor, watching shadows twitch on the far wall. No fire. Just the last hour of battery from an old LED lamp Mateo found. Veronica fingers the strap of her brother's backpack without looking at it. Ricardo hums softly under his breath, and it's not until he stops that I realize it was the same 5-note rhythm the girl used on the train. I can't sleep. I sit by the door with my back against the wall, the darkness just outside pressing against the edges of the outpost like a tide. I keep thinking about what she said. We are clean. We are aligned. Not infected, not human, something in between. And whatever control they've found, it's spreading. Quietly, patiently, across rail lines, across border zones, through camps and corridors and cities, too tired to question the silence. At some point near dawn, Mateo joins me. He doesn't sit, just leans against the far corner, watching me through the gloom. She'll reach the next freight yard by morning, he says. After that, who knows? We tell someone, I reply, somewhere up the line. Someone will listen. Mateo shakes his head slowly. The ones who'd listen already know. The ones who don't won't believe until it's behind their fences. He turns away and walks back to the others. I stay by the door until the first light creeps over the desert, pale and grey and cold. The freight train is gone, the girl is gone, but the track is still here, and it's not empty. Somewhere beyond the ridge, another whistle will sound, another door will open, and silence will march forward again. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more unsettling creepypastas. Your support keeps my channel alive. Until next time, stay quiet, stay vigilant, and trust nothing, not even the silence.